Today is Friday. Hey, it's Friday, March 6, 2015. This is Wayne Goldsboro Television. I'm Wayne Alley.
And I'm Kim Best. Good morning and happy Friday.
Woo! I love it.
I do too.
I'm telling you.
We reminded everybody a couple of days, but since today's our last day on the air for this week, remember, Saturday night, take those clocks and spring them forward. Daylight savings begins this Saturday night.
That's right.
We'll be here next week.
And we will not be here next week. We'll be on hiatus for the March 9th through 13th. We'll return back on March the 16th.
Okay, now that's a whole lot of information there.
All right, say it again.
All right. So Saturday night.
Yes.
Take your springs and clock them.
Spring forward.
Right. That's what I meant to say. And then next week, where are we?
On hiatus.
Really?
We're not here.
We're not here. We're anywhere but here. Okay.
We're not here for a week.
So we'll be showing a
Best
series
of.
of best ofs of the Wayne Goldsboro Television right here
That's
next
exactly
week.
right.
Okay?
Lots of local interviews.
And we'll be back the week after that.
That's right. March
Okay.
16th, we will
Very
be
good.
back
Very
fresh
good.
and ready to go.
Well, Sweet Mary Kay presents, and that's sweetmarykay.com, is presenting, celebrating 3 years of abstinence, and this is going to be a smash or pass event. You can choose to pass celebration on March 14th at 7 p.m. at Bethel Church, and that's at 2308 North William Street here in Goldsboro,
right.
USA. All right, that's coming up.
That's right. Don't forget this weekend, actually tonight,
Tonight
at the Gray Fox Theater.
at the Gray Fox.
Remember, Donna Hughes will be performing.
Donna Hughes.
And opening for her will be two youngsters, Cage and Ben Ballard. They'll be playing the fiddle. They're ages 7 and 10.
That's right.
And they are performers.
A part of the Bullard family.
That's right.
That's
Surprise.
And you know, I didn't mention this, but the granddad is A.J. Bullard, who's the botanist out of the Faison area.
Fantastic.
Who really knows his stuff.
That's this weekend at from 7:30 until 10. General admission is $10. The front 3 rows are $12.50. That's at the Gray Fox Theater on East Ash Street, the old Pizza Inn building.
Yeah, that's right.
They've transformed it into a theater.
They did, and it's nice. And I'll tell you what, I hope you're able to go. You'll enjoy the Bullard family and also the Donna Hughes as well.
She's performed at many places like the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville, Tennessee, and many, many others. We've got a long list of where all she's been and performed.
Of course, the Bluebird is world renowned.
Yes, it is.
In Nashville. All right, today's a very special day. For one, it's Employee Appreciation Day.
All right.
All right, thank you. Today is also Middle Name Pride Day. All right?
That's good.
That's
Do you like your middle name?
My middle name is Pride.
Oh, well, I'm not a big fan of mine, so I'm not going to tell you what it is. Just saying.
Oh, okay.
Just saying. I've never liked it.
All right,
Sorry, Mom.
No, I've got to find out.
You're not going to know.
Oh,
I keep it a secret. I don't love it or even like it.
Okay. Well,
So what else are we today?
A lot of people don't.
I know.
A lot of people don't like their middle name.
That's what I hear.
This is also Dress in Blue Day.
Uh-oh, I didn't get that memo.
Yeah, that's not black, is it?
Yes,
Is
black.
Is it black? Okay.
You got a blue shirt on, so you did good.
Oh, I did. Okay.
He followed the rules.
Well, I didn't even know what the rules were. And there you go. And it's especially a good day because today is Oreo Cookie Day.
Oh, I'm a big fan.
Oh, yeah.
Double stuffed.
How many flowers are on the Oreo cookie?
I have no
front
idea.
And back. There's 13.
Oh, my goodness. 13?
Mm-hmm.
Never paid attention. I eat it too quick.
I know, I do.
Never counted the flowers.
And don't forget, this weekend is the time change.
That's right. We're
This
springing
weekend.
forward.
Springing forward.
That's right. I bet there's many people that are late for services or church or whatever they're attending on Sunday morning because they forgot to change their clocks.
Move the clock ahead. That's exactly right. So you're going to lose an hour of sleep, but that's okay.
It's worth it.
Sure it is. It'll only be the
worth
one
it.
day.
And spring is around the 20th.
About the 20th?
About the 20th of March.
Yeah,
so
I can't recall. I used to have that time. That
in your head. You used to know it in your head.
Yeah, I had that right there, but there's some other things that got in the way there.
It happens.
And then it moved, over here. I
don't
know what's over here.
Neither do I. Neither do I. Cheaper by the Dozen.
Oh, yeah.
Being produced this weekend by Center Stage Theater at the Paramount, of course. If you'd like to see that, you can get tickets at the box office, but it's going to be played Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 7:30 are the times.
Okay.
All right, I believe it's time to go to interviews.
Oh, is it? Oh,
It
okay.
is.
Good.
Even the youngest among them wanted to join the U.S. colored troops, and many boys between the ages of 10 and 16 accompanied the troops as musicians and field hands. Pictured are two of the musicians with the 54th Massachusetts, and also a young drummer boy with the 75th Ohio. Drummer boys also had other duties too. This beautiful picture is of a young drummer boy assigned to exercise Major General John Aaron Rawlings' horse. Not all black soldiers served in the Union. There were approximately 60,000 black Confederate soldiers who served during the Civil War, some who served willingly, some who didn't. The Confederacy was using blacks when and where they wanted as early as 1861, even on the battlefield in emergency situations. As I mentioned earlier, the Louisiana Native Guards pledged their original allegiance to the Confederacy as a measure of defending their city against outsiders. Jefferson Davis proposed early in the war that slave labor was readily available to be used as needed for the war effort, and even suggested arming blacks to fight in battle if necessary. So why did blacks willingly join the Confederacy? For some, it was a matter of local patriotism and hopes of better treatment. But there was also the fear of impressment. 6 states passed laws for impressment of free Negroes into the Confederacy labor battalions. Blacks who were forced into impressment tended farms for the Confederate Army, did most of the work on Confederate fortifications, and served as cooks and servants. But not all blacks in the Confederacy were laborers. They also performed quartermaster duties and commissary duties, as well as working as nurses, bricklayers, blacksmiths, carpenters, boatmen, and other craftsmen. There were also slave owners who sent a personal valet, or a body servant, as they were called, off to war with their sons. The slave's job was to look after his master and to keep him safe. In most instances, these slaves were armed and fought alongside their master. This is Henry Comer, a slave and Confederate soldier from Petersburg, Virginia, along with his master. Henry was credited with carrying his master 5 miles to safety after the Battle of the Crater near Petersburg. Henry was 18 years old. His master was 17. Meet Lieutenant Andrew Chandler and his body servant Silas Chandler of the 44th Mississippi. They fought side by side, and Andrew was seriously wounded in the Battle of Chickamauga. Silas carried Andrew to a hospital in Atlanta, nursed him, and stayed by Andrew's bedside until his family could come from Mississippi to get him. Silas and Andrew both received pensions paid by the state of Mississippi to Confederate veterans. Andrew freed Silas immediately upon returning to Mississippi and gave him land to build a house and start a small farm, and some money to build a church, which Silas had asked for. That church still stands today in Belden, Mississippi. Andrew was 15. Silas was 17. This is Private Louis Napoleon Nelson, 7th Tennessee Cavalry, shown in his old age but still proudly wearing his Confederate uniform. Whatever their reasons for serving in the Confederacy, their memory deserves the same honor as any American veteran of war. In 1868, the great Confederate General Nathan Bedford Forrest granted an interview to reporter Thomas Cartwright. And in that interview, Forrest said of his black soldiers who served with him, "These boys stayed with me, and better Confederates did not live." The highest ranking black in the Confederacy was Color Sergeant George Dance, who carried the flag into battle for the 8th Tennessee, a Confederate unit, on January 1st, 1863, which was coincidentally the same day the slaves were technically freed. His courage was not forgotten, and he is shown here with other soldiers from that unit 50 years after the war ended. And if you have a chance to visit Arlington National Cemetery, look closely at the Confederate monument. It's obvious many Confederate soldiers thought they were fine soldiers too. The Underground Railroad had been well established by the time the Civil War began, and many former slaves and free blacks found their way to Canada as early as 1811. 92 free men, some of them former slaves, and some of them second and third generation Canadians, came back to the States to fight in the Civil War, some never to see Canada again, either killed on the battlefield, captured as prisoners of war, or worse, forced into slavery. These are the names of all of these men and the regiments they served with. The names highlighted in yellow are black doctors, 4 of them surgeons and 3 assistant surgeons, who left Canada to offer their services to the U.S. colored troops. I know they're probably too small to read, but I thought it was important to list all of them anyway. New Bern, North Carolina was occupied by Union troops early in the war. The town was seized in March of 1862, and freeborn blacks, former slaves, and runaway slaves poured into the city by the thousands, seeking refuge and offering their service to Union troops. Each time Union troops came into Kinston, Goldsboro, Mount Olive, and surrounding small towns, they returned to New Bern with runaway slaves and blacks in tow. The first and largest regiment mustered in was the 1st North Carolina Colored Infantry, later designated as the 35th U.S. Colored Infantry. They saw their first battle in Florida, fighting alongside the 54th Massachusetts. The 36th Infantry organized in February of 1864 and fought in the Battle of Richmond, the Appomattox Campaign, and in North Carolina. I have not yet found a complete regiment picture, only this one lone soldier, Sergeant Major Meekins. He was from Portsmouth, Virginia, and a week before he left for war, he married a slave named Patience. But when he returned, she had been sold, and he never found her again. 3 of the recipients of the Butler Medal came from the 36th in North Carolina: James Gardner, Samuel Gilchrist, and James Miles. The Butler Medal was the only medal in the armed forces ever designed specifically to recognize the heroism and bravery of black soldiers. The 37th saw duty with General Butler in Petersburg and Richmond, and participated in the capture at Fort Pocahontas, defeating Robert E. Lee's nephew, General Fitzhugh Lee. When they returned to North Carolina, they participated in the capture of Fort Fisher, near Carolina Beach, along with the 55th Massachusetts. They were also part of the advance on Kinston, Goldsboro, and Raleigh, and they were there at the surrender of General Johnston, for whom Johnston County is named. My great-great-grandfather on my mother's side, Nelson Walker, served with the 14th Heavy Artillery, and Lieutenant Frank Welch, a black officer reassigned from the 54th Massachusetts, would have been his commanding officer. I have no pictures of my great-great-grandfather, so Lieutenant Welch is my closest reminder. He is one of the 120 commissioned black officers in the Union Army. Most of the black officers came from the 54th and the 55th Massachusetts, and from the first 3 regiments of the Louisiana Native Guards. The majority of them were free-born, well-educated men. The 12 companies of the 14th were comprised mostly of local men. They spent most of their time on duty in New Bern. Several of them were injured when a cannon exploded at Fort Macon in 1865. This is the actual regiment flag for the 14th Heavy Artillery. This flag would have flown overhead as my great-great-grandfather performed his duties. It is currently listed with Cowan's auction for $28,000, and if I just happen to have $28,000 in spare change one day, I intend to buy it. During the Civil War, many military units had their own regiment flags that they carried into battle, and this was also true of the U.S. colored troops. You've seen some of these flags, and here are just a few more from regiments in New Jersey, New York, Louisiana, and Pennsylvania. The 135th was organized in Goldsboro, North Carolina, and mustered in on March 28, 1865. It was made up of refugees following Sherman's army. The regiment contained men from every southern state east of the Mississippi, but was carried as a North Carolina regiment only because it was organized in this state. They were mainly garrisoned in North Carolina until October 1865, and they mustered out in Kentucky on October 23rd. Of the 1,200 men who served in the 135th, approximately 200 were from North Carolina. Their engagement was brief, and there is little information about them, and I have not found any regiment pictures. Many of the troops in New Bern remained in the area after the war. The settlement at James City, which is right outside of New Bern, was set up as a camp for destitute slaves in 1863 and remained a black community until 1900. With the growth of the waterfront community around New Bern and the increased tax value, the black population in James City has declined to approximately 20%. And you'll see that marker as you go, if you're going across 70, across the bridge, and you look over to the right, you'll see that historic marker. Some of these troops migrated toward the Outer Banks, and in 1871, the Life Saving Service was created by Congress as predecessors of the Coast Guard. Station 17 was commanded by Richard Etheridge, a Civil War veteran, and an all-black crew, mostly veterans. Station 17 remained active until it was decommissioned in 1917, and their story is captured in the book Fire on the Beach, if you get a chance to read it. Not all colored troops mustered out at the end of the Civil War. Many remained on active duty, and some moved west to fight the Indian Wars. The nickname Buffalo Soldiers was given to them by the Indians because their hair was said to resemble that of a buffalo. The Buffalo Soldiers were established by Congress as the first peacetime all-black regiments in the regular army. Henry Ossian Flipper was born a slave in 1856. During Reconstruction, he had an opportunity to attend Atlanta University and was later appointed to West Point as the 5th black candidate who entered, but he was actually the first to complete the program and graduate. He received a commission as a 2nd lieutenant with the U.S. Cavalry and became the first black officer to command regular troops, both black and white, in the U.S. Army. Allen Allensworth served as chaplain for the Buffalo Soldiers from 1886 to 1906. Born a slave prior to the Civil War, Allensworth fled north at the beginning of the war and joined the Navy, serving on Union gunboats on the Mississippi until the end of the war. Afterwards, he began his formal education and was eventually ordained as a Baptist minister. In 1886, he enlisted and began a career as a U.S. Army chaplain. When he retired from the Army in 1906, he was the highest-ranking African American in the entire Army. He was also the 2nd highest-ranking Army chaplain. At his retirement, he wrote a farewell letter to President Grover Cleveland. His aim, he said, was to show, on behalf of his race, that a Negro can be an officer and a gentleman. All in all, black soldiers fought in 449 engagements, in which 39 were major battles. The protest against colored troops quickly declined as they proved their valor time and time again. In August of 1863, the Chicago Tribune made the following statement: "Wherever a Negro has been tried, the courage, steadfastness, and endurance of the African race have been triumphantly vindicated. The Negro will fight for his liberty, for his place among men, for his right to develop himself in whatever direction he chooses. He will prove himself a hero, and if need be, a martyr." The black soldier had finally won his place in the Civil War and in history. When we think of the word history, we tend to think relatively of something that happened a long time ago. This year marks the 150th anniversary of the end of the Civil War, but we are not as nearly far removed as we like to think. This is Ida Marie Bonista James from New Orleans. She was born in 1859, 2 years before the Civil War began. She died in 1959 at the age of 100. She was my great-grandmother, the wife of my great-grandfather Preston James. I was 7 when she died. I remember her well, and her mind was sharp until death. She was a teacher in New Orleans, and I have her writing desk in my living room and the fountain pen she wrote with. And most people who know me know that I still write with a fountain pen to this day. So I have held the hand of someone who was born before the Civil War began. History is merely yesterday, and yesterday was not that long ago. The spirit of these soldiers lives on. More books are being written every year to give account of their heroism and their fight for their rightful place in society, and reenactors like these are dedicated to preserving their history. And what was almost a forgotten chapter in American history is slowly coming to the forefront. Monuments are being constructed all across the country in recognition of their service and of these soldiers and sailors. Here are just a few. The Vicksburg Monument commemorating the 1st and 3rd Mississippi Infantry, the Lincoln University Monument in Missouri, the National U.S. Colored Troops Memorial in Washington, D.C., with a reenactor who stands guard. Nashville, Tennessee, recognizing the 8,000 black soldiers from that state. Donaldsonville, Louisiana, recognizing the Louisiana Native Guards, the first unit to volunteer. And a beautiful memorial in New Haven, Connecticut, recognizing the 29th U.S. Colored Infantry, erected by their descendants. This presentation has been a work in progress since 1995 when I made the first presentation on Black Civil War soldiers. It's been revised many times over the last 20 years, and the journey gets more interesting with every piece of new information that I find. Of all the lessons I learned along the way, it is that the Civil War was about so much more than slavery. There were good leaders and bad leaders on both sides, but regardless of whether the soldiers were Northerners or Southerners, Union or Confederate, black or white, they all served with courage and conviction and commitment for that which they, as individuals, believed to be right. And they are all deserving of our remembrance. The Army historian Samuel Atwood once said of the Civil War, "The giving of praise or blame is always easy, but the understanding of something is difficult." And that is a truth which applies to this story. Black history goes back much further than civil rights marches and the right to vote. These are my heroes. Just as Martin Luther King paved the way for so many of us, they paved the way for him. I thank all of you for your attention and for the invitation to share their story. The books on display on this table are from my personal library, and the display on the round table is from the library here in Goldsboro, and Marty can tell you much more about that. And if you know of another group that would like to hear this story, please let me know. Thank you, and God bless all of our soldiers, past and present. Thank you.
We're back on Wayne Goldsboro Television. Thank you for being with us. You know, we're on every day, Monday through Friday, and we come on in the first broadcast at 7 a.m. That show repeats at noon, and then that show repeats at 5:30 p.m.
That's right. Wgtv is Wayne Goldsboro Television. It's a partnership between the County of Wayne and the City of Goldsboro, and we are here to bring you different interviews and information about what's going on right here in our community. How about that?
Yes, and information about what's going on in the community.
Really? Because I didn't just say that.
Oh.
Oh, well.
I might have heard it somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, talk about pain. There is a pain management support group meeting on the second Tuesday of each month. This will be coming up this coming Tuesday at 10 a.m. at the Senior Center. March's meeting will be held March 10th. A group is a forum expressing how you feel, how you feel about your pain, and it'll be a place where you can freely talk about it without fear of judgment. And you know, some people say, you know, I've got a pain in my, and other people just seem to
blow it off and act like it's not as important.
But it is important. Family dynamics are discussed and resources will be provided. Mary Warwick has spearheaded the group for quite a while. DJ Coles, our buddy, DJ will be there, RN for the Watch Band, and he's also a minister and founder of the 4-Day Movement. He will facilitate the group. New members are always welcome. Do not need to sign up in advance. Just show up for the group. That's for seniors at the Senior Center, March 10th. Talking about pain. Yes.
Well, the Outlaw Foundation is holding their second annual 5K run and walk at Carver Elementary School on Saturday, March the 21st. It'll start at 9 a.m. The Outlaw Foundation's second annual 5K run and walk. They're wanting you to register by visiting runtheeast.com. A lot of people are using that now, runtheeast.com. Yeah. There will also be a 1-mile walk. Register by March 10th, right around the corner, to guarantee yourself a t-shirt. There will also be a 1-mile, I just told you that. All proceeds go to assisting a local family with utility, mortgage, gas, grocery bills that are currently being treated for cancer. For more information, go to theoutlawfoundation.com to find out more about this particular walk and run and this family in general. So support them if you will. That is Saturday, March the 21st in Mount Olive at Carver Elementary School.
Outstanding.
9 a.m.
Do you remember Alias Smith and Jones on television?
Yes.
Yeah, great show. Unfortunately, a tragedy struck when Pete Duell took his own life.
Yes.
But the other half of that duo, Ben Murphy, is having a birthday today. He is 73.
Birthday.
73 today. Martin Cove is Becky on Cagney and Lacey. Remember Cagney and Lacey?
Oh, yes.
I love that show.
I did too.
Is Becky having a birthday? He's 69 today. Rob Reiner was Meathead on All in the Family.
Oh, he's done so much.
He's done a lot of other stuff. Of course, his dad's famous too.
Right.
But Rob Reiner's 68 today.
Is he really?
He is 68.
68. Wow.
That's right. Anna Maria Horsford was Eileen in the movie Medea Christmas.
Yes.
And she's Ms. Helen on Read Between the Lines. She's 67. Tom Arnold has done a bunch of stuff. He's 56 today. Suzanne Crowe, Tracy on the Partridge Family.
Okay.
Remember Tracy?
No.
Okay. Anyway, she's having a birthday. She's 52. D.L. Hughley having a birthday, the comedian, 52. Connie Britton having a birthday. She was in the TV show Nashville. She played Raina. She was in Friday Night Lights.
She's still in Nashville. It's still going on.
Oh, is it?
That's a great show.
What do I know? She's 48 today. Shuler Hensley, Law and Order, Banshee, and a bunch of other stuff, 48 today. Andrea Elson was Lynn on Alf. You remember TV show Alf?
E-L-F or Alf?
Alf.
A-L-F?
A-L. Alien Life Form. Alf.
I remembered. I didn't watch it, but
she
I
played
remember.
the daughter.
Okay.
The daughter. She's all grown up now. She's 46. Amy Peets is Donna on The Office.
Okay.
Okay. Donna is having a birthday. She's 46. Ellen Muth is Dead Like Me, Georgia. Some of these shows I have no idea.
Right. Don't know that one.
She's 34. But Eli Marienthal is Tucker on the TV show Tucker. Kid Z on the Zeta Project, and he is 29 today. Tomorrow, again, move your clocks ahead.
Yes.
But tomorrow is also International Women's Day.
I'll take that. International Women's Day. International.
Internationally speaking.
So do something special for a woman.
That's right. That's right.
Guess what?
What?
It's time for the weekend to begin. Gotta go.
Already?
Gotta go.
Well, we'll be back a week from Monday.
That's
okay?
right, the 16th.
The 16th. We'll see you until then here on Wayne Goldsboro Television. I'm Wayne Alley.
And I'm Kim Best, and this is what's happening in your community.